SUNY Oswego students march in solidarity with civilians in Gaza. Why tensions are high on campus over the ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
And it's opening day for Syracuse Mets. What's bringing fans to the ballpark this year?
And tensions are high in the city of Oswego as the most recent property tax assessments have lasting impacts on renters and property owners.
This is Oswego Now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Thomas Caffarella.
And I'm Jolie Santiago.
Confusion, frustration, and aggravation. That's how the city of Oswego property owners are feeling after the most recent property tax assessment.
The city is doing a reassessment for the first time in 27 years. That extraordinary gap means some property owners are paying more than their fair share. I went to City Hall to speak with some property owners waiting to talk to the city assessor about their assessments. Here's what they had to say.
Saw that I was like number 17 on the list, and only 3 people have gone in the door and out the door.
Residents wanting answers have been waiting hours to talk to one person, Kevin Hill, the city assessor. They want to review their 2024 property tax reassessment, and tensions are high.
This is the first big increase in my taxes I've seen since I've been a homeowner.
Property tax reassessments went up an average of 58% across the city, according to the city assessor. In some cases, residents say theirs doubled and tripled. George Valentine has been an Oswego homeowner for 30 years and says the area is not reflective of the reassessment increase.
Somebody who sees syringes arriving in your town park, city park, and you know that your house could not sell for the price that they're estimating it at.
The city held a public forum on reevaluation on March 20th. The assessor says they are trying to tax property equitably because the last reassessment was in 1997. Some property owners see this as a positive.
A landlord complained to me, he's assessed for $2 million, now he's assessed for $4 million. I was like, congratulations, you double your net worth.
Residents are also voicing their concerns for people on fixed income, senior citizens, single moms, and college students.
Somebody, and all of a sudden my taxes got doubled for the same building. Guess who's going to pay them? The student renter.
Oswego Now reached out to the city of Oswego, including the city assessor and mayor, and has not heard back. We will continue to follow this story for updates as residents can contest until grievance day. Jolie Santiago, Oswego Now. Residents who want to contest their assessment have to meet with the city assessor by the final deadline of May 1st. They can only challenge their assessed value on their property. More information on contesting your assessment is available on New York State's tax and finance website, but we'll link you right there. It's oswegonow.net.
An expected late state budget, making it the third year in a row. Governor Kathy Hochul delivered a bill to state legislators to push back the yearly state budget to the 4th, the original deadline being April 1st. Some of those discussions causing last year's state budget to be late are still talking points this year, like tax breaks for housing developers, incentivizing building in New York State, and more strict penalties for assaulting retail workers.
As Israel continues its military offensive into Gaza, blocking large-scale aid from entering the Strip, UN humanitarian groups say the majority of population in Gaza is facing imminent starvation. This has sparked widespread protests across the world, including here at SUNY Oswego.
Here on campus, students are trying to learn more about the conflict, and this week, students organized a demonstration on campus to spread awareness and demand action from the SUNY Oswego system. SUNY Oswego Now's Kyle Schnaufer has the story.
The sound of a student body in solidarity with the Palestinian people was heard loudly this week, after a recent resolution for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza has raised tensions between the Israeli officials and countries like the U.S., who have backed off on their support of the nation's military efforts. But some SUNY Oswego students have been calling for a ceasefire in Gaza for a long time and won't be satisfied until it becomes a permanent one. It all started right here outside of SUNY Oswego's Tyler Hall, where the words "Free Palestine" were spray painted onto this outdoor wall right behind me. The covering of the message, followed by the campus's response, has led to dialogue among students about the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and led to students gathering for a rally and march in solidarity with the Palestinian people here in the Quad. The march was one of the many events happening on campus this week with a focus on the conflict in Gaza, with a memorial for the Palestinian lives lost and a faculty-led panel offering insight into the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict happening earlier in the week. Oswego Students for Justice in Palestine spearheaded the rally in March, and SJP Oswego President Kayleen Marie led the charge as the students arrived.
I think it's important for all students to come out and not only just Palestine, but for all students to use their voice, because we are in a nation that promotes democracy, right? So that means we have to uplift and use our voice.
The march brought students around campus, chanting in support of the Palestinian lives lost in Gaza, and brought students back to the quad to voice their support for the struggles of Palestinians and other oppressed groups.
Everybody is, at the end of the day, we're all people. We all bleed red. We all have emotions. We all have a heart. We were all born into this world. We all matter.
But not everyone was in support of the march, with multiple social media posts condemning the march and even a heckler along the march's route. Political science professor Lisa Glidden says that the conflict between Israel and Palestine has always been contentious. And although young people speaking out on world conflicts isn't a new thing, there are some new elements to it this time around.
The advent of social media and how widespread it is means that we're seeing a lot more imagery of it. And I would say it's actually kind of similar to what happened in the Vietnam War, which was called like a television war because suddenly it was being broadcast and people were really upset about it.
It may be a controversial topic, but as the death toll in Gaza continues to rise, it won't be a topic that stays off of students' tongues for very long. Kyle Schnaufer, Oswego Now.
SJP Oswego is planning to hold more events like the rally in the future. Other campus organizations like Jewish Life and the Muslim Student Association are also planning more events to educate students on the war in Gaza.
And moving on, it's the last week of Women's History Month. And according to the latest census report, women still make about 71 cents on the dollar compared to some men with the same education level.
And in an effort to address gender disparities in the workplace, SUNY Oswego has launched its first ever Women's Empowerment Summit. What started out as a panel for women in entertainment expanded into a campus-wide event. The summit's creator and career coach, Megan Mazzicone, says discussion topics included self-advocacy and salary negotiation, both important conversations to empower women.
We're a group that needs to support each other. We're still not making as much as our male counterparts, and I think there's a lot of education and support around women, so we wanted to do a big event to do that.
Students and panelists say that these conversations can help women advocate for equality in the workforce. Mazzicone hopes that this event will be the beginning of an annual tradition.
And it's the opening day for the Syracuse Mets, and fans are booming with excitement. The Mets are taking on the Rochester Red Wings right now. Our Kaylee Richmond is live at the NBT Stadium with the latest. Kaylee.
Thank you, Thomas and Julie. It is opening day here at NBT Bank Stadium, and the Syracuse Mets are facing the Rochester Red Wings in their first game of the season. Let's take a look at the game right now. We're currently at the top of the ninth inning. The Syracuse Mets are leading the Red Wings 6-2. It's been a pretty high energy game and a great start for the Syracuse Mets as they start their season off right. Now, the house was packed earlier today, but the true fans have stayed here. It's a bit cold outside, but the sun is out now. It's starting to warm up a little bit more. As I said before, the fans have stayed here, especially the true fans such as Ryan Fox. Here's what he had to say about his Mets experience.
Well, I mean, I've been involved in the baseball here since I was a kid, so it's just kind of a ritual of spring, something that I enjoy, do it with my family, come watch baseball, and just have fun, maybe get a beer, I don't know.
It's about 41 degrees outside here in Syracuse, New York, but let's check and see what the weather's like in Oswego, New York. Let's take a look at your forecast with meteorologist Aurora Fitzgerald. Aurora?
Thanks, Kaylee. You are definitely right. It is definitely cold out there. Even in Syracuse, it is still very chilly. Right now, it's currently 38 degrees in Oswego, so it's still around that 40, 41 degrees, same as Syracuse, no matter where you go. Now, it is springtime, but where are these spring temperatures? We're seeing 38 right now, and it's not really feeling like it. I don't know about those groundhogs and what they think, but doesn't really look like that. I'll have my full forecast coming right up, but for now, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Aurora. A once-in-a-lifetime solar eclipse is on the horizon. Find out what the city of Oswego and the campus are doing to plan for the event.
Never knew when I would have to.
Don't pay attention to me, I'm messing with this.
Welcome back to Oswego Now. I'm your meteorologist, Aurora Fitzgerald. Taking a look at our temperatures right now, again, 38 degrees. It's not really feeling like spring out there. 16 miles per hour for the wind. It is definitely breezy out there, so I suggest that everyone has a coat. You might need some gloves as well. Definitely bundle up. Dew point is 28, humidity is 65, and it feels like 30 degrees. So we do have that 8 to 10 temperature difference because of the wind. That's why we have the wind chill. Again, 38 in Oswego, 41 in Central Square, Fulton sitting at 37, Syracuse is at 41, so if you're at that baseball game, it's definitely going to be chilly, but around the state, it's definitely sitting in the 30s and 40s, so not very exciting. Now, if you are at that Syracuse game, again, going to be very cold, but as you're heading out, I'll have that coming right up. It is opening day, and they have a winter hat giveaway. Some of you might have had those hats I saw before. They look really cool, and you're definitely going to need them today. Definitely keep your extremities, like your nose and your ears, covered from the cold so everyone's comfortable and nothing bad happens when you're coming back from the game, and if you're traveling out for Easter weekend. Tonight's going to be pretty nice, partly cloudy throughout the night. We have 38 degrees going down to 35. The low tonight is 34 degrees, but again, it is going to be pretty breezy, so you're going to want to bundle up. I cannot stress that enough. Now, this is our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. So again, it's been very cold. Why is it being cold? So in the central area of the U.S., it is a little bit above average, so it's going to look warmer for the next 6 to 10 days. Now, we're in this gray area right here, so that's near normal. So hopefully the temperature should be climbing up, hopefully by the eclipse as well. I know you're all probably wondering, oh, is it going to be cloudy or rainy or clear for the eclipse? It is a little early for us to know for certain, and I want to have accurate readings for you guys for the eclipse, but that will be coming up, do not worry. Taking a look at our 5-day forecast, and for your Easter weekend for anyone who celebrates, Saturday, mostly sunny, 44 degrees, low is 34. We're seeing some pretty low temperatures, again, not really exciting. They're all sitting in the 30s and 40s. Sunday for Easter, there is possibly a chance of rain here in Oswego and other parts and other counties as well. But just make sure you have an umbrella handy. The sun could still be shining. It's still a holiday weekend. Monday, partly sunny. We're almost getting up to 50. We're just about there. Tuesday and Wednesday, though, we're definitely going to see possible rain showers, light rain on Tuesday. And I'm just hoping that these warm temperatures come. I'm sure they will eventually. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Aurora. The solar eclipse is just under 2 weeks away. The city of Oswego is expected to welcome approximately 20 to 30,000 people for the total solar eclipse.
Oswego Mayor Rob Cardino says that the tourism on the day of the eclipse will help boost the local economy for the city of Oswego.
Well, certainly it will help over that weekend. On Saturday, we're promoting Small Business Saturday. And then on Sunday, the day before the eclipse, we're going to have a little block party right here on West 1st Street. So many of the restaurants and businesses that are usually closed on a Sunday will be open. So that should help businesses that day.
Mayor Cordino says as long as the weather holds up, the eclipse will be a great opportunity for the city of Oswego. And make sure to tune into our solar eclipse broadcast right here on Oswego Now's YouTube channel on April 8th. Our live coverage begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
As winter lingers, the city of Oswego is waiting for an extended stretch of warmer weather. Oswego Now's Megan Gagno has the story.
That's right. As the weeks continue, I know myself, along with many others, are left wondering, when will it finally feel like spring again? I had the chance to talk to an Oswego native who is the owner of a newly established acai bar called Crumb, and he may be able to give Oswego residents just what they're looking for.
After a 2-year hiatus of preparing to open and a move from Boston back to Oswego, Crumb's creator Gregory France has been preparing to put his plan into action.
I've been in the food industry for 2 decades now, and I've always wanted to open something, on a smaller scale. The idea was we're going to introduce acai to the city. We'll go out on a little bit of a limb. I wanted to see if it worked.
France decided to use Oswego's demographic of college students to his favor and introduce acai to the city, or in some cases, show students that they won't have to go far for a feeling of home. Student Taylor Farrell says that she's excited to finally have this option and says that with the great weather also approaching, it just makes this edition that much better.
I'm just really happy because back at home, there's a lot of acai bowl places that I go to all the time, and I haven't been able to find one up here. This is going to be such a great addition, especially with springtime and summer rolling around.
Crum will be open Monday through Saturdays, but closed on Sundays. It's located on 43rd West Bridge Street. Megan Gagno, Oswego Now.
Coming up from the labs of SUNY Oswego, one professor and a team of students have earned a patent for the research on ionic wind propulsion.
Stay tuned as we break down the latest developments on the new FAFSA form and what the new FAFSA means for you and your educational journey.
If you're a student in college or have students in college, you might be quite familiar with the Student Financial Aid Form, FAFSA. The form has undergone some changes this year.
Our Melina Williams is with SUNY Oswego's Director of Financial Aid, Jenny Hoffman, to discuss how these changes are affecting students. Melina?
Thanks, Jolie and Thomas. Thanks for joining me today. So the first question I have for you is what changes have been implemented to this version of FAFSA compared to previous years?
Thank you so much for having me. So there have been many changes that have been updated from the FAFSA from 2023, 2024 to 24-25. The first of which, and I think which really makes a difference in the student experience when filling out the form, is that there are far fewer questions. So last year, looking back, there were over 100 questions on the FAFSA. Now this year for 24-25, the Department of Education has reduced the number down to only 35 questions. So that really makes the process, I think, a lot more simple for students and families, and it makes the process a lot more, well, I'll say a lot less intimidating for students too. And in addition to the number of questions on the FAFSA, the federal methodology has also changed as well. There are a few things that have been updated now. So number one, the number of students in college, that will still appear on the form, but it's been removed from the methodology. So in the past, where families had 2 children in college, that would actually kind of split their eligibility or split the expected family contribution in 2, which could mean that students might qualify for additional federal aid. Unfortunately, that's one of the pieces that the Department of Ed has actually removed from the needs analysis calculation and the functionality. But what they've done is actually allow at the campus level financial aid administrators to use a process that's called professional judgment to kind of build that back in. So now families will just have to submit documentation to financial aid offices to show that they have more than 1 child in college, and then we can kind of build that back into the formula so students and families don't miss out on that aid eligibility. Wow. So yeah, so that makes it really, really nice. Like the form is streamlined too. So there's some skip logic where if questions don't seem to apply to a particular student, it'll skip right over it. So it could even be that families are seeing less than 35 questions on the FAFSA.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
And back to you guys.
Thank you, Melina. Moving on, a groundbreaking discovery in ionic propulsion technology has emerged from the labs of SUNY Oswego.
Electrical and computing engineering professor Adrian Ida, along with some of his students, have been granted a patent for their research on ionic wind propulsion. Ida explains that ionic wind uses electricity to induce motion by creating a strong electric field between uneven electrodes, causing ionization of the surrounding air when voltage surpasses a threshold. Professor Ida says his journey towards pioneering advancements in ionic propulsion technology have been aided by the dedication and ingenuity of his students.
I really like to let them explore things that are in their mind. Wouldn't have thought of some things that actually came from my students. So really the original knowledge does not matter that much. And no, just the idea, the drive to explore things have led to outstanding results.
As his journey of exploration continues, Professor Ida says he is hopeful that he and his team can further achieve greater heights of scientific achievement. And coming up later on Oswego Now, a familiar event at SUNY Oswego, now with a new name.
Plus, an Oswego State athlete received a national award for her work off the field. All that and more in my sports report after the break. Welcome to Oswego Now Sports. I'm Brian Burrows. It's opening day for the Syracuse Mets, and they are taking on the Rochester Red Wings. The Mets look to bounce back from a second to last place finish in the International League last season. Joe Lucchesi got the start on the mound for the Mets and went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, and struck out 5. The game is currently over, with the Mets taking the win 6-3. Those student athletes put in a lot of work for their craft on the field. Their work outside of the sport can be just as important. One Oswego athlete is being recognized for her work in the classroom. For some student athletes, it's all about performance on the field.
Simplicio's back at it, and she will have...
But others try to excel on the field and in the classroom. Carolyn Simplicio, a member of Oswego State's volleyball team, is a part of that second group.
I'm very hardworking. I have a lot of things, that keep me busy throughout the day. I'm a student athlete, so, I'm going to classes, practice, games.
Carolyn was selected as one of the recipients for the Eta Sigma Gamma National Health Education Honor Society Outstanding Undergraduate Major of the Year Award, and it came as a bit of a surprise.
I never really expected to, win this at all.
The award recognizes outstanding students majoring in health education. For Simplicio, she felt it showed her commitment off the field.
The award is being a good academic student, but also are you facilitating things outside of school? Are you, being that good student, but also somebody that is a good member of the community?
Though Carolyn says being a student athlete takes up a lot of her time, her work in the classroom is preparing her for her future as she tries to become a physical therapist. Brian Burrows, Oswego Now. Simplicio will receive her certificate in the mail from the Society for Public Health Education. That's all for my sports report. Back to Thomas at the desk.
And to wrap things up tonight, a yearly tradition at SUNY Oswego, now with a new name. Yards for Yardley, raising awareness for sexual and interpersonal violence, will now be known as Laps with Lakers, a different name with the same goals. The name change seems to be having a positive impact on the event. We're told by organizers over 100 signups and 50 volunteers have signed up with more than a month to go before the event. The goal each year is to walk 1 million yards. That's about 900 laps around the campus quad, according to Laps with Lakers coordinator Lisa Evaneski. Evaneski hopes with the new name, they can reach a larger audience. And expect to see Lakers and members of the community walking around the campus on May 1st. That's our report for tonight.
Thank you so much and have a great night.